Welcome back, everybody. This is Denise from Dobby Books, and I want to cover two things. The first, to let you know what I'm reading, and the second, I'm going to give you a recommendation. And there's a reason why I'm sitting in front of my Harry Potter bookcase. This is only, you're looking at 2 out of 3 shelves, but I'm not really going to go into detail of everything I've got, but I'll cover a few things today. So let's get started. So first, let me tell you what I'm currently reading. The first one, of course, is Redwall. Now, I remember reading this book, gosh, it was a while ago. I don't know if it was at the later 1990s or the early noughts. I don't know. But I remember reading Redwall as I'm going through the story. It's like, oh, I remember this guy. Okay. This is such a great story. The chapters are short. You can move through it very well. Of course, for a lot of us who are feeling some anxiety for the upcoming year, it's nice to get away with a little fantasy. And Redwall is perfect. I've been reading this. I was inspired by Jim at Great Books, Big Ideas to pick this up again and read it, and it's just really a joy. This is a nice little escape, and it's a sweet story. I love it. And the next one that I'm reading is a book that I heard about. I think it was a YouTube interview that was happening. It was a CNN reporter, not a major one, like the ones you'd see on the evening news. This is another one. And he was interviewing a former CNN correspondent who had reported a lot of things from the Asian continents. And this particular reporter, who was born in the Philippines but moved to the United States when she was 10 years old, completed her education here in the United States, and at a certain point in time decided to go back to the Philippines. And it was from there that she worked alongside CNN and became one of their foreign correspondents. And during the time that she was back in the Philippines, eventually there was a very authoritarian ruler that took power in the Philippines. And she was targeted, of course, because she was a journalist. And journalists like to, they're known for holding the line. They hold a government accountable and businesses accountable, etc. And the government of the Philippines at that time did not appreciate that. So she endured harassment, some imprisonment, but she continued to speak out because right is right and wrong is wrong. And I admire someone with that kind of courage. So I went out and I purchased her book. It's called How to Stand Up to a Dictator, The Fight for Our Future by Maria Ressa. And I am very much enjoying this read right now, and I think it's perfect timing. She really is encouraging. I read her story. I'm reading a little bit of her life. It's part memoir, part memoir, part politics, etc. And she has such encouraging things to say in her growing up experience, some realizations that she had. And I remember marked one of them. At a certain point, she said, when she had come to the United States and she was struggling with learning the language and doing well in school, she said the first was always to make the choice to learn. That meant embracing change and mustering the courage to fail. Success and failure are 2 sides of the same coin. And how true that is. In another part of the book, she said, when you take a risk, you have to trust that someone will come to your aid. And when it's your turn, you will help someone else. These are really important things for us to remember right now as we face this new administration. We don't know what it's going to be like, but we know it's not going to be good. And we need to take courage. We all were pretty wiped out with the results. And we needed some mental and emotional time off, which is, of course, understandable. And now that we've been able to step away for a short time, it's time for us to gather our strength and to stand together, stand strong, stand up for what's right, right? That's always the right thing to do. she had another quote that she says, and this I hope will transition well into what I just said. All it takes is one person to stand up and fight, because a bully doesn't like to be challenged publicly. That was an early lesson in pushing back against the cruelty of the herd mentality. Here's what I learned about popularity. People like you if you give them what they want. The question is it what you want? And I think that's a very important question that we need to keep asking ourselves to clear our heads, to fine-tune our focus and our energy. I think that would be very important. There's another quote that I wanted to share with you, and it is this. I made the choice to learn, but it was more than that. I learned to trust, to drop my shields and be vulnerable. I have rarely been disappointed when I do. That, to me, is strength, and why I believe in the goodness of human nature. When you're vulnerable, you create the strongest bonds and the most inspiring possibilities. This is really, she has learned so much in her struggle, standing up to an authoritarian government. And the insights that she shares in this book, I think many of us are going to find very useful in our current climate. I'm trying to find out something that she mentioned about education. Okay, here it is. That was always the answer when violence broke out. The force of the mob destroyed individual control, giving people the freedom to be their worst selves. This triggered a memory for me from 2016 to 2020, and now facing the possibility of that happening again. What I was seeing in Indonesia was something I had seen in the Philippines and someday would see in countries around the world, as the power of disinformation began to devastate the minds and transform the behavior of often less educated people or those less familiar with the internet. Education determines the quality of governance. An investment in education takes a generation to bear fruit. Likewise, countries feel the impact of this disregard for education a generation later. That determines their productivity, the quality of their workforce, their investments, and ultimately their gross domestic product. A nation's budget line item for education is an investment in its people. And I think we're seeing, we're living the result of that today in the United States. So much of this book just really resonates with me personally and with the situation that's currently facing us in the U.S. And again, I would recommend this book by Maria Ressa. And she was the winner of the Nobel Peace Prize, by the way. You see that on the book. How to Stand Up to a Dictator. Excellent book. Now, I have another book I'd like to recommend to you, which is a combination of fantasy and nonfiction, fiction and nonfiction. But the theme of this particular book covers both of these, and that is Book 5 of the Harry Potter series. This one is kind of shiny. You could see it right there. This is Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. And why am I recommending this book? In the Harry Potter series, if any of you have either watched the video series or read the book series itself, Harry Potter is the boy who lived, because the evil Lord Voldemort was wreaking havoc and terror, not only in the wizarding world, but in the Muggle world as well. And Harry Potter, an innocent one-year-old baby, survived an attack by Lord Voldemort, who tried to kill him. But what ended up happening is that the curse that Lord Voldemort sent to the baby, Harry, struck him on the forehead, bounced back, and hit Lord Voldemort, obliterating him. And that's why Harry Potter has that Harry Potter scar on his forehead. Well, now Harry Potter is 15 years old, and he's been in Hogwarts for the last, let me see, he started when he was 11. So he's been there for the last 4 years. And in those 4 years, a lot of stuff has happened. But in a nutshell, what I will tell you, it's a mild spoiler. They find out in the book prior to this, which is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, that Lord Voldemort has returned, aka he who must not be named. And in this book 5, in the Order of the Phoenix, you have the Ministry of Magic under their particular government, Mr. Fudge. He refuses to believe that Voldemort is back, and he is controlling the news, the journalism in the wizarding world to make sure they don't mention anything about Lord Voldemort, because he just refuses to accept that he's back. He's also managed to put people in his cabinet who agree with him and who will support his decisions. And so not only does Harry have more difficulties because it causes more difficulties in his life, but also his number one defender, who is Dumbledore, the headmaster of Gryffindor, the school that Harry goes to. Dumbledore has to deal with Mr. Fudge because Dumbledore knows that Voldemort is back, and he doesn't have the support that he needs. So what happens is now private citizens are having to get together to educate themselves and to prepare themselves for what they know is going to be an eventual battle. And that is what the Order of the Phoenix is called, right? So they have adults who are members of the Order of the Phoenix, which was, it comes back together because Lord Voldemort is back, and they're contacting people sort of, what's the word, incognito. They don't want this to be out in the open. They need to quietly prepare people, get more people to join their ranks. And in the meantime, the students at Hogwarts, those that are on Harry's side, for instance, who believe him, who know what's going on, they're either being deliberately kept out because the adults want to protect them. So they kind of feel powerless. So what happens at Gryffindor is that the students now get together and create their own Order of the Phoenix, and they're practicing their spells, and they're learning about how to defend themselves and the maneuvers that Voldemort is trying. And in the meantime, the Ministry of Magic has moved into Hogwarts. They've sent one of their cronies in to be a teacher in the the position that's always difficult to fill, which is a professor of the class. What is it? Defense of the Dark Arts. And Miss Umbridge is sent to teach that class. And if you saw the movie, she was the woman that was all dressed in pink and that was just too sugary sweet and just annoying. Okay. She is sent there to work against what Dumbledore is trying to accomplish. So the reason why you would read this is because it's so similar to what we're going through now. He, the person that was around and in power, eventually left, was voted out, and we thought, okay, we're done. That's over. Now let's get moving forward. Only to find out 4 years later that he's back. And now we have to steel ourselves once again, educate ourselves, stay informed, stand together, not despair, but stand strong. And this is a wonderful way of doing it. I'm trying to find the word, but I thought this was just fantastic. It includes both what we're going through now and what went through in a fantasy world, but it's so encouraging. And I think if you're inclined, read this one. You don't have to start with the first Harry Potter book if you haven't read the series, because J.K. Rowling does enough little review, excuse me. She does enough reviewing throughout the book that you kind of catch up on certain individuals and certain things that had happened in the previous books to give you some context. So there we go, people. Later on, I will, let me show you a little bit more of what's here. These here are my UK editions of the Harry Potter series. The first book I have, that's the 25th anniversary edition. I don't have the first edition, first print of the first book because that's the Holy Grail and I don't have the money to pay that much. But this is a first edition, I believe, 17th print. And what I liked about it is that I got a map of Hogwarts with it and my letter of acceptance, my letter of acceptance, and the supply list for Hogwarts. And I thought that was a cute little thing. So I have this. I had a wonderful book marker that came with it, and here you see the train, as well as my ticket to King's Cross Station, Hogsmeade Station, Hogsmeade, at platform 9 3/4. So that was a nice consolation prize for not getting the first and first edition. But I have this, and all the others are hardbound editions. The only one that I need to replace is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. This is a first and first, but it's a paperback. And what I'm looking for is a hardbound copy of first and first UK edition, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. I keep looking on eBay and other sources and can't quite, none of them are first and first. If you or someone you know would have anywhere to direct me to, or in fact, or have one that they want to sell, let me know. It would be so helpful to me. I really would like to finish my collection. And here I have my US editions, first and first. The only one I'm trying to see if I can find a first and first on is this one, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, the first edition. This one here is, I think this was the wrong, no, it is right, but, and this is a first and first edition, but it's not a true first edition. And the reason I say that is because on the back, if you look at the review, and I'm trying to get rid of the glare, it's from Publishers Weekly, and the real first edition had the review from The Guardian. So that's the one that I'm trying to find. Oh. And this is my little light up thingy. I don't know if you can see that. It's a semi-alleyway. It's not quite Diagon Alley, but it's close enough. And then, of course, we have Dobby, because everybody loves Dobby. And then on my second shelf, I don't know if you can see, perhaps I can lower it a little bit. There we go. These are the Ravenclaw House editions, and I only have up until book 5. Books 6 and 7. This one here is a Hufflepuff edition, and the next one over is a Gryffindor edition. I want to replace these two with a Ravenclaw edition, first and first hardbound edition. I'm still searching for those. So again, if any of you know someone or you directly have a first and first edition of Ravenclaws on this, and you're willing to do either an even trade for these, or you have, want to talk about price, let me know. Let me know in the comments, and I will respond back. This is Fawkes. I love Fawkes the Phoenix. If I could have a Phoenix, I would get one. I loved Fawkes. I love his color because I love this brilliant, intense color. And this here, of course, is a Mandrake. These lovely little creatures. Again, there's some glare. Maybe you can see them there. There we go. These fascinated me. I mean, they're not attractive creatures. They actually be kind of creepy, but something about them. Just, I had to get one. And over here, this is my Spanish language edition of the Harry Potter books, all paperback. I'm very happy with them. Yes, I will be reading through them. I really will. And then these are the Mina Lima editions. I don't know if you can see them there. I'll lower this a little bit. These books are the Mina Lima editions of the first 3 books of the Harry Potter series. They will not be doing the remainder of the books. They only did the first 3. And these are such beautiful books because they're interactive. They're like, when you have a pop-up book, whatever, it has all these beautiful things in them. I'm not going to open them and go through them because that's not what I want to do for this particular video. But just to show you some. If anyone has questions, they want to see more, or if you know about any of the books here that I'm trying to find, and you have information on that, let me know in the comments. Thank you, everybody. I hope you can find this book. I'll post a link on my description. Normally, the books that I mention in my videos, I just provide a link to my Bookshop store, and you can just get them to there. Go to the link, find the book, and there you go. And of course, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. See if you can get yourself a copy. It's fantastic. You can listen to the audiobook, or you can even watch the video. Everybody be safe, be happy, be strong. I love you all. Take care. Bye-bye.